Wait, before you send that next message, pause. Because if she already knows what you're about to say, you've just stepped into the danger zone of predictability, and nothing makes a woman lose interest faster than a man who's easy to read. See, here's the truth. Women aren't drawn to what they fully understand. They're pulled in by what surprises them, what keeps them guessing, what teases their emotions without giving everything away. And when it comes to texting, most men fall into the trap of becoming completely predictable. Same good morning texts, same dry check-ins, same emojis, same timing. It's almost like clockwork. And the moment a woman can predict how you'll react or what you'll say next, the mystery vanishes, and so does her attraction. Now think about this for a second. When was the last time a message made you stop and smile because it wasn't what you expected? That little emotional jolt? That's exactly what you want to create for her. The human brain craves contrast. It craves the unexpected. And when you give her that contrast in your communication, switching from playful to serious, from light teasing to deep connection, you create a roller coaster of emotional engagement she won't want to get off. Let's say she's used to you being sweet and charming. You might randomly drop a bold, flirtatious message like, I should probably stop texting you. You're becoming a dangerous habit. It's confident, it's cheeky, it catches her off guard in the best way. Now suddenly she's alert, she's intrigued. She's not just replying out of politeness. She's replying because you've shifted the emotional tempo, and now she wants to know what you'll say next. On the flip side, if you've been mostly lighthearted, dropping in a quiet, reflective message like, "It's wild how certain people just stick in your head even when you're trying to stay focused," suddenly changes the rhythm. She'll pause, she'll reread, and that moment where she doesn't quite know where you're going with it is the moment you've got her attention again. This isn't about playing games. It's about emotional variety. Texting isn't a script. It's a dance. You lead, she follows. You slow down, she leans in. You twist the rhythm, she reacts. It's that unpredictable back and forth that creates the emotional spikes that make her check her phone 3 times before she even responds. If she knows how you'll reply every time, she'll stop caring when you do. But when you inject contrast into your communication, when you make her wonder what version of you she's going to get next, you become unforgettable. And in a world where every guy is trying to impress with effort, you become the man who captivates her with contrast. Hold up. If your texts sound exactly like the last 10 guys she's talked to, you've already lost the edge. You blend in. And when you blend in, you disappear. See, most men fall into this trap without even realizing it. They become predictable. Too consistent, too routine. And while that might seem like a good thing in theory, when it comes to attraction, routine is the silent killer. Now let me explain what actually gets a woman emotionally hooked. Contrast. Emotional contrast is like a spark in a dark room. It's unexpected, it's thrilling, and it's the very thing that makes your messages feel different from every other conversation she's having. Predictability is safe, but it's boring. And nothing about boring keeps her interested. When your texting follows a pattern, same tone, same energy, same timing, it becomes easy to anticipate. And what's predictable doesn't stimulate desire. But when your tone shifts just enough to keep her mentally engaged, that's when she leans in. That's when she starts wondering what you're thinking, why your energy feels different, and what you're really about. Maybe you've been playful and light, joking with her for a few days. Then, out of nowhere, you hit her with something sincere like, sometimes I wonder what you're like when no one's watching. It catches her off guard, not in a creepy way, but in a way that pierces through the surface level noise. It's deep, it's unexpected, it makes her pause. That moment of emotional shift is powerful because it shows layers, and layers are rare. Or let's say she's used to emotionally rich, sweet messages. Then one evening you shoot her a text like, "You're trouble, I should stay away from you." And then you go quiet. That small twist flips the mood. It creates a sense of playful danger. It challenges her. Suddenly, you're not the guy who's just there to please. You're the guy who's unpredictable enough to be exciting. This is not about being confusing or fake. It's about creating emotional texture, giving her different flavors of who you are. Because when a woman gets only one tone from you, only jokes, only flirty lines, only deep thoughts, she can categorize you. And once she puts you in a box, you become manageable, safe, and eventually disposable. But when your energy shifts just slightly, when you go from teasing to thoughtful, from serious to witty, she doesn't know what's coming next. And that uncertainty, that's what keeps her checking her phone. That's what keeps her mentally locked in. So stop being predictable. Be the contrast. Be the twist. Because if she can't quite figure you out, she won't want to stop trying. Stop texting her back so fast. Seriously, if you're replying within seconds every time her name pops up on your screen, you're not impressing her. You're showing her you have nothing else going on. And whether you mean to or not, that constant availability sends a loud, unattractive message that you're waiting for her, that you have no sense of self-prerogative, that she's already won your attention without even trying. Now here's the truth most men overlook. Attraction thrives in tension. And tension isn't created when everything is instant, easy, and always available. It's created in the space between messages. The waiting, the wondering, the why hasn't he replied yet moments. And that's why mastering the strategic delay is so powerful. It's not about ghosting. It's not about playing games. It's about holding your ground, knowing your worth, and letting her feel the space where she's not the only thing dominating your world. When a woman texts you and you respond instantly every time, there's no suspense. She doesn't need to think about what you're doing, who you're with, or what could possibly be holding your attention. But when you give it time, 10 minutes, an hour, maybe even longer depending on the rhythm, you subtly shift the dynamic. You show her you have options. You show her you have a life. You show her you're not addicted to your phone or obsessed with her approval. And here's the magic of it all. When she's made to wait just a little longer than usual, her brain doesn't register it as rejection. It registers it as curiosity, as mystery. She starts imagining what you're up to, why you haven't responded, and whether she said something that didn't land right. That emotional uncertainty, it's magnetic because it repositions you as the prize, something she now feels slightly off balance about. And that shift in energy makes all the difference. Let's be honest, most men chase, they double text, they reply the second her name lights up their screen. So when you don't, when you create just enough distance to spark that psychological itch, you separate yourself from the pack. You stand out not by saying more, but by doing less, with precision. You're not ignoring her. You're not playing hard to get. You're simply giving her space to feel your absence. And in a world that's full of noise, that silence becomes powerful. Because now, when your message finally comes in, it hits differently. It carries weight. She reads it slower. She thinks about it longer. And that's when you know you've flipped the script from chasing to being chased. Sometimes the most attractive thing you can say is nothing at all, for just long enough. Have you ever sent a message and felt her energy change instantly, but you couldn't explain why? That's because certain words don't just land, they linger. They stick in her mind, loop in her thoughts, and even replay in her emotions when you're no longer around. And the men who know how to use texting to anchor emotion, those are the ones women remember, even when they try to move on. Texting isn't about how often you talk, it's about how deeply your words affect her. Emotional anchoring is the secret most men overlook. While they're busy sending good morning messages and YD texts, they're missing the opportunity to leave a lasting imprint. An emotional anchor is that one line that hits her soul in a moment she didn't expect. It's not always sweet, it's not always romantic, but it always makes her feel something, and feeling is what keeps her hooked. It can be as simple as saying, I bet no one really sees the side of you you're showing me. That line, it's powerful because it does two things. It makes her feel understood and unique, two of the deepest human desires. And it attaches that emotional satisfaction directly to you. You become the source of that feeling. And that's how anchors work. They tie emotions to your presence, even through a screen. Or let's say she shares a random detail about her day, and instead of just reacting, you say, that's the kind of thing I'll probably think about later when I'm trying to fall asleep. Now suddenly, the moment you shared isn't over when the conversation ends. It echoes. It becomes something she replays in her head, exactly like you said you would. The reason this works isn't because the lines are clever. It's because they make her feel seen in a way that's rare. And when she feels seen, she lowers her guard. When she lowers her guard, she opens up. And when she opens up, she starts forming emotional attachment. That's not just chemistry, that's anchoring. Most guys rush to impress, joke, flirt, or show status, but they forget that a woman doesn't stay for the surface. She stays for the feeling, and if you can be the one who gives her that rare mix of depth and presence, even through text, she will crave your energy more than you realize. So instead of trying to keep the conversation going with empty words, learn to drop those emotional lines with intention. Let them sit. Let her feel them. Because the right sentence delivered at the right time can take up space in her mind for hours or days. And that kind of presence, that's unforgettable. If you always text her first, you're already losing. Think about it. If every conversation starts with you, if every effort comes from your side, then what is she really investing? The truth is, we value what we work for. And if you remove the chance for her to chase, to wonder, or to reach out on her own, she starts to take your presence for granted. That's where the pullback text comes in, one of the most powerful psychological moves you can use to flip the dynamic without confrontation, drama, or over-explaining. A pullback text is subtle, it's not needy, it's not emotional, and it's never aggressive. It's a calm, confident message that signals a quiet shift in your energy, one that makes her pause and reconsider everything she thought she had under control. It could be something as simple as, I've been a bit distracted lately, needed to refocus on a few things. Or even, I've realized I was giving too much energy where it wasn't being matched. That's it. No blame, no guilt, just presence, awareness, and power. What that kind of message does is create distance, not physical distance, but emotional distance. And distance is what makes people reassess. She starts thinking, wait, is he pulling away? Did I do something? Why does this feel different now? That inner questioning reactivates her emotional investment because the shift wasn't forced. It was triggered by your calm confidence. The beauty of the pullback message is that it gently places the ball in her court. You're not asking her to respond. You're not waiting around. You're simply resetting the energy and giving her the opportunity to feel the absence of your attention. And when a woman feels your absence more than she ever acknowledged your presence, that's when you've made real impact. And don't get it twisted, this isn't manipulation. This is about recognizing your value. It's about pulling back when you feel the imbalance instead of continuing to pour into something that's not giving back. Most men are afraid to do this because they think silence will make her forget them. But the truth is, silence makes her remember you, especially when it's done with maturity and self-respect. The mistake is thinking that constantly showing up proves your worth. But sometimes, stepping back does more than stepping forward ever could. The woman who once thought she could predict your every move now has to deal with uncertainty. And in that space of uncertainty, her feelings deepen, her curiosity returns, and more often than not, so does her effort. So don't fear the pullback, use it. Use it when her energy shifts. Use it when the texts get dry. Use it when you start to feel like you're the only one reaching. Because the moment she realizes she might be losing your presence is often the moment she realizes how much it actually meant. If you think saying nothing means you're losing her, think again. Sometimes silence is the loudest message you can send, and it speaks directly to a woman's emotions in a way no perfectly crafted text ever could. You don't need to double text, follow up, or explain yourself. When the energy shifts, you just need to master one thing: knowing when to say absolutely nothing. Most men panic when communication slows down. They assume the silence means she's slipping away, so they chase harder. They ask if she's okay. They start sending more texts, longer messages, even apologies for things that didn't need one. But what they don't realize is the more you reach, the less power you hold, because chasing silence with more noise only exposes insecurity. And insecurity kills attraction faster than anything. Now, silence isn't about ghosting or punishing, it's about restraint. It's about trusting that your absence has its own gravity. especially if you've already made an impact. When you stop texting her, when you stop showing up instantly, and when you allow the silence to grow, something powerful happens. She notices. She starts to wonder. She replays your last words. She starts thinking, why hasn't he messaged? And that thought isn't about anger, it's about curiosity, and curiosity is the seed of renewed attraction. There's a reason why some of the most unforgettable men aren't the ones who talk the most, but the ones who know exactly when to go quiet. Because silence after confidence leaves a mark. If she felt your presence when you were communicating with strength and certainty, then she will definitely feel your absence when you stop. That gap, that missing energy, that's what reactivates her emotional awareness. In a world where attention is currency, withholding yours, even temporarily, makes it more valuable. And when your attention is valuable, she treats it differently. She becomes more thoughtful with her replies. She doesn't take your messages for granted. She feels the shift and shifts her behavior too. This takes discipline, it takes emotional control, it takes being okay with the silence instead of rushing to fill it, but when done right, it speaks volumes. Silence is not about playing games, it's about showing her that you're not emotionally dependent on the outcome, that you're grounded, that your world doesn't fall apart just because she took too long to reply or didn't say what you expected. Sometimes the most attractive thing you can do is say nothing. Not to be cold, but to be clear, to show that your time, energy, and words are earned, not handed out freely. Because when you finally do speak again, when you break that silence with purpose, your words will carry weight, and she will listen.